All right, moving along, silly. I thought I'd have a quick chat today about the topic of conversation in tech this week, which has been about Facebook's new cryptocurrency called Libre. They've got a new coin that they've announced, and it's going to be backed by some hard assets, which is going to mean that it won't be subject to the wild fluctuations that we saw in the crypto market last year and the year before, with Bitcoin prices rising from 1,000 to 20,000, back down to 6,000, 10,000, 3,000 again. They're going to do away with that kind of fluctuation, which is one of the things that's holding back cryptocurrency from becoming widely adopted because of that volatility. So by backing it with some hard assets, they're going to get some parity with the dollar. So it could become quite a viable way of transacting online. They're going to have a wallet called Libre that will be easily accessible via your existing apps like WhatsApp or Facebook itself. And it essentially is going to allow you to make transaction in the digital marketplace and also down the track, perhaps at FPOS terminals in an actual real-world shop. So Facebook are really moving right into the crypto space, becoming yet another payment provider.
That is
what do you think?
Extremely interesting. I'm still struggling with Bitcoin and how it all works.
Yes.
So I'm not a great one to talk about a lot of this, but what we have seen is that crypto fad sort of come in, about a year ago, where it just went crazy. And it was the next big thing, and it reminded me of the tech boom in around '99. That you have to be on board with it. And some people, they're always winners out of those fads, and so there's a lot of people that did win, but there's also people that did lose. And to me, it comes back to, does the world need this? We've got a financial system in place that's been pretty proven over many years, and do people want to move to a crypto kind of thing? And, is Facebook offering a better solution? And
I can tell you a little bit about that. One of the great things about cryptocurrency is that it works on a distributed ledger, which makes it much more secure than any other existing payment network. And also the low transaction fees. If you wanted to send a payment overseas, you've probably done it before, or receive payment overseas, there's a massive transaction fee for large sums. Like $100,000 could cost you $1,000 in payment fees.
Yeah.
It's enormous. Cryptocurrency does away with that, and the transaction fees could be as little as 30 cents for that $100,000. So there's a big gain to be made when we're transacting globally using cryptocurrency. So Facebook is saying this is going to have very low transaction costs, or in fact, it might be no transaction fees if, perhaps based on various providers that they're working with. That's one of the main advantages. But the main thing about cryptocurrency is that it is very secure and very difficult to hack. So there are proven technologies here that are definitely going to make their way into the mainstream. And the fact that Facebook are adopting this really indicates that we are moving into a new level with crypto, and it's probably going to be as soon as 1 or 2 years. And I think a large percentage of Facebook users would probably start transacting in some way using these new currencies.
It's really interesting that I think that I was talking about someone the other day, and about, say, WhatsApp, and what's the revenue model in WhatsApp for Facebook own it, don't they?
Yes.
And so I think that this potentially could be another way that Facebook could make money out of what they're doing, because, yes, realistically, the model has relied on selling advertising, but we're not really seeing that in WhatsApp space. So they spend a fortune buying WhatsApp. Then what do they do with it? And if we look at what's happening, say, in China with WeChat, and how payments are being processed through WeChat, there's millions and millions and millions and millions of transactions happening on WeChat every day, and it really runs the country. And so WhatsApp is like the poorer cousin to WeChat, really. Like, if I've got WeChat, I've been in China, and it's just phenomenal, the usage of it. WhatsApp is I use a lot in Asia when I travel as well, with companies I do work for over there. But what is the revenue model of WhatsApp? And maybe Facebook developing their own currency, payment processing, etc., could be a way to make more money.
You could be right. It's definitely going to be a part of WhatsApp, and it's going to make it easier than ever before. So we can definitely see that one happening. Now, the other thing I wanted to talk about today was my web leaks for this podcast. And Oppo are going to be announcing a under-display selfie camera next week at
Oppo.
Oppo. The Chinese phone manufacturer.
Okay,
It's a bit like Huawei, but it's probably the second. I think Huawei was the best-selling phone in China, and Oppo was second.
You are a Huawei fanboy.
I was until a recent controversy.
Yeah, so we can't talk about that.
Yes, I want to keep
We
away
don't talk
from
about politics
point of
here.
time. But Oppo actually make great phones, and they are quite innovative, similar to Huawei. What's been lacking in the phone space and has been highly speculated for the past few years, and we thought Apple might have been the first one to do it, or should have been the first one to do it, is to have an under-screen selfie camera. So what that means is the front-facing camera on your phone is hidden underneath the screen, meaning you don't need that ridiculous-looking notch anymore.
But
So
also,
you might ask how it works. How does a camera hide under the pixels of a screen?
I reckon you can do it though.
It can. If you know what I think it is? It's peeking through the pixels.
But do you know what it is? If you think about it, what's the difference between that and auto cue technology? The glass.
Because you have the 45-degree angle on the auto cue.
True.
So I don't know how they embed that in the screen. I don't really know what it is yet because they haven't announced it. But they are going to be announcing it next week. But essentially, it will have the camera underneath the screen. I thought it might be somehow peeking through the pixels because in between each pixel there's a gap.
Yeah.
So I wondered whether they got the camera small enough to peek through a pixel, or you might be right, there could be some kind of refracted light on an angle that can somehow get through the pixels.
What would be interesting, I'll tell you what, how many times have you seen like either videos or photos shot on a mobile phone and people will almost look cross-eyed because they're looking in the wrong spot for the camera?
True.
That if you can have the camera right in the middle,
yeah,
then that will do away with
you might be
people
right.
looking in the wrong direction because they're looking left, but then they're looking right, and they're, where do I look at the camera? Because you just don't know.
Silly, you might be on the money there. They might actually place it lower down in the middle where people naturally look, and that will make a lot of sense.
Oh, that'd be great.
So not only will it actually be more aesthetically pleasing, but it might actually take care of that major issue. When I've trained a few people how to do their own face-to-camera videos, that's one of the biggest problems I have is getting them to stop looking at themselves in the middle of the screen and looking at the actual camera. So anyway, this is going to be some new technology that not only will Oppo announce and probably release sometime this year, but it's probably going to roll out in all of the next generation of smartphones in 2020. So we saw the notch being the thing for the last 2 years, from 2018 onwards. And the next generation of phones will now have full screen displays without a bezel and no more notch. So we're going to see hidden cameras beneath the display. And Oppo look like they're going to be the first one to deliver on the promise. And Samsung have also mentioned that they're going to be jumping in that space very soon. So that is the web.
Well, this raises a bit of a point. Like, what do we actually want from a smartphone nowadays? And personally, camera quality is just the top of my list.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like
that's why they keep pushing the better cameras and more convenience with the cameras and quality.
Okay, we've got 5G coming in.
Yep.
And hurry up, Apple, have a 5G phone.
Well, there's no rush in Australia because we're not going to get it here for years.
No, it's going to be very, very slow to get the technology in. But nowadays, I'm finding that smartphones are quite expensive and they've got to last you a while. You could have them for 4 to 5 years.
Yeah.
And so if you're going to buy a phone now,
you want to have the latest of everything.
Well, if 5G in 5 years will be around. And so if I'm going to buy a phone now, I want it to be 5G capable. But the biggest thing is, from a functionality perspective, yes, we can run apps and surf the web and check our email, and that's all well and good, and that won't change. But the biggest thing for me is better camera quality.
Yeah,
being able, I've got an old iPhone 6, so something like
you've got to upgrade.
The front-facing camera doesn't shoot HD. And if it did, then that'd help a lot. I've used my phone a bit for vlogging and stuff like that in different jobs that I've done. And it's been quite good, especially in good light. In low light, it's not great. But if you could have a better camera system, then you won't need to buy point-and-shoot cameras to take on holidays. Everything will just be done out of the phone even more.
It's kind of true, but I actually ran a test this week. I thought I'd have a quick look at the iPhone because it's capable of shooting. I've got the iPhone XR. It's capable of shooting 4K video.
Apple
family. I am. Okay. We confirmed that last week.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So I had a quick go at stacking up the 4K on the iPhone against the 4K on my brand new Canon. Just wanted to see, why did I pay so many thousands of dollars for a DSLR camera when phone manufacturers are now delivering on the same spec?
Yeah.
And it just looked terrible compared to what you get out of a proper camera. Like, it
That's
looked
true.
amateur, awful. The colors on the skin were unnatural. I couldn't even grade it to get it to compare in any way in post-production. The resolution itself, fair enough, it is 4K, so it looks quite sharp.
Yeah.
But the lens, the optics don't deliver any depth in the image. It's flat.
Yeah.
It's muted colors. It's distorted. It's actually terrible footage. But somehow in the marketing city, just like the Dollar Shave Club, they get you to believe that you can film a movie using an iPhone.
I've got a really good example of that this week. That I shot a VR video, basically 360 camera, and I've done a few shoots before with a friend of mine who uses a GoPro Fusion.
Yeah.
And the client was saying, "Oh, maybe we need to look at a better camera, so we can get some better resolution, whatever." And they looked at this Insta Pro camera that can shoot 8K.
Yes.
And I started doing some research, and I watched some sample footage, 8K footage, and it was over sharpened to the max. It's like you couldn't watch it. And we're talking about an expensive kit here. This camera was really expensive. That at 8K, it was hard to watch.
So 8K has too high a resolution for our eyes to deal with. We're just not used to that kind of footage.
It was over sharpened like nothing on earth, and it just looked disgusting. It looked like early GoPro kind of footage. Like you're saying, that very flat feel. There's no sort of ambience about the shot. It's just flat and just sharp.
Yeah.
And then I sort of said to the client, by the time we shoot the 8K footage, we scale it back and you play it through your Oculus Go,
you're not going to see the difference.
You're not going to see much of a difference at all. And what I found with that camera, especially 360 cameras, are nowhere near like your new Canon that you just bought. Nowhere near the quality. No. They cost a fortune for these, whiz-bang 360 cameras, but they're not delivering great performance. And the other thing is that they're so power intensive that what are you playing it on? You need a whiz-bang computer to play it, or you need a really good VR setup just to be able to play it. And it's just too much for nothing that's great.
Yeah.
What I found even with this the 8K 360 camera was that things that were shot close up, anything close up in the foreground was pretty sharp, but the background just would lose resolution like nothing on earth. And then what some of the reviews showed was that if you try to zoom into some of the footage, you lost it.
Yeah.
You just lost the resolution really quickly.
I still reckon that has a lot to do with the optics more than, so these technology companies that specialize in those areas are great with producing a sensor that's capable of delivering high resolution. But unlike Canon, who's been in the camera game for over 100 years, they haven't got the history of making great lenses. And again, that's what I found with staying with Canon when I was tempted to go to other manufacturers, is just knowing how good their lenses are and how important that is in the equation.
Do you know what I look at?
You've got to understand that. Yeah.
You go to a phone and how big's the lens? It's tiny.
Yeah, how can you get that quality?
You can't.
You can't.
You go to some of the gear that we're using with proper lenses, like there's a reason why they're the size they are. It's and you know what? Lens technology, there's been good lenses for a long time. There's old glass that's just phenomenal, but nobody's making a tiny little lens that's 1 centimeter across and saying this is a beautiful lens.
True. But I must say, though, with the iPhone still image quality, it is almost comparable to the quality, and even with the depth of field capability you have now, to be able to have this wide open aperture look, it does look very close, but they haven't been able to reproduce that in video. So
what's question for you? What's it like? Like everything looks good on a mobile phone because you're squashing pixels like nothing on earth. What happens when you put it into a computer and look at the photo?
It doesn't stack up.
Doesn't stack up?
No. So if you actually pixel peep and you actually zoom right into it, you can clearly see that it's nowhere near the image quality of a full frame sensor. So the tiny sensors on our phones are like literally 1 centimeter. And the sensors on those cameras are like 3 inches. Yeah. So that's a massive difference in size.
So, in other words, this is what I say to people. There's 4K and there's 4K.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. Moving along is my tech fail with a twist. You presented your marketing fail with a twist this week, so I thought I'd put a twist on mine.
Oh, good job.
And this technology fail has to do with the emergence of deepfake videos. Have you come across those before?
Never heard of it, John.
You haven't heard of deepfake?
I've been in hospital. I've been
you have
grid.
too? Yeah, okay. Well, I'm going to get you plugged back into the grid and have a chat about this disturbing new technology, which uses artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence, AI, is the go at the moment. What they're starting to use this for, and starting out in research laboratories and university. Now some marketing companies have started playing with the technology. But deepfake analyzes hours and hours of footage from your typical YouTube presenter, for example, or a politician, and it's able to sort through the vocal data and the visual data of that person as they're speaking, then recompile a video and get that person to say anything you want them to say, which is really quite frightening. So there's a couple of examples of this. There was a video that somebody did on Joe Rogan, and this wasn't using AI. This was just some really fancy editing.
Yeah.
And they got Joe Rogan to say something that was totally out of character. Nancy Pelosi, an American politician, they made her appear like she was slurring her words and drunk. An artist and an advertising agency in England commissioned a piece working with artificial intelligence where they had Mark Zuckerberg talk about his dominion as a tech leader in the world and how he was using technology in nefarious ways. And it was quite a comical piece that they posted on Instagram. And when I looked at it, I could see it was fake, but it was quite close. It was getting to the point that you could almost get away with presenting it as the real thing. So deep fake is now becoming a thing.
See, this is interesting. Elon Musk has been warning the world about AI.
Yes, and this is one of the negative side effects.
Maybe Trump's right with fake news. Maybe he didn't say anything. Maybe it was somebody else. This is the thing. We won't know what's real and what's fake.
This is going to be fake news on a whole new level, silly, where people can fabricate it. And there's going to be some advantages of using this technology where for marketing purposes, brands could actually get away with having somebody deliver something for them that they don't have to go and repeat over time and time again. Just have a spokesperson. Can
you imagine the legal fraternity are going to make a fortune?
How will they
people suing everybody?
True.
I didn't say that. You created this video. I didn't authorize that.
There's going to have
defamed me.
Yeah. Well, there's going to be legislation, no doubt, to follow as this eventuates. But what's interesting about this so far, Facebook haven't taken down these videos, nor have Instagram. So they're aware of it. Yeah. They've said they've suppressed the videos from their news feeds, but they've refused to actually delete them. So we're in the grey area at the moment where no one knows quite what to do with these videos that are not really transgressing any regulation or copyright.
I do not know how Facebook or anyone can identify that kind of video and pull it down in the short term. You'd have to have hordes of people going through footage to determine whether that's a real video, a fake video, it's offensive video or not. The videos get posted pretty much straight away.
Yes.
And yes, they can pull them down later if someone complains. So you can complain or report the post and then they may look at it. But how are they going to stop this kind of content being put up? They've been criticised in the past, but how does the technology solve that problem? That then you're going to have AI fighting AI.
Exactly. So they currently do deploy a large amount of AI to filter through the posts for explicit data. And they have thousands and thousands of people employed all around the world filtering and checking their content on a daily basis. So they've got their system in place.
Be on Facebook and browse Facebook.
Yeah, absolutely. They have to because of all the obscene footage that's being uploaded. And it's actually quite disturbing for people that are employed in that capacity because they're coming across such disturbing footage that it's causing, great psychological effects. So there's a whole documentary on this.
What is it?
This topic. And it's not just Facebook, it's all social media platforms that needs to have a team of people vetting the content. So it's not completely unregulated and unsolicited, but it is going to present a new challenge because how can you be flagged by AI that this is going to be a problem, and how can people actually discern what it is when it looks so real? So it is an up-and-coming problem. It's my tech fail with a twist because I think it's really poor use of great technology, putting it to really
you know what's interesting? Everyone thinks that AI is going to replace people, but actually AI is going to create a lot of jobs
by looking at
it. The AI just to regulate the AI. So
it's true. Well, they said the Industrial Revolution. Well, they said the Industrial Revolution was going to replace jobs, but it didn't. It just took the mundanity out of our work, and we elevated to perform higher tasks. So it's the same with AI.
Exactly. So I think the world will still continue. We'll always have work for humans.
Yes.
And it may be just to regulate the AI. So
yes, whatever it is, there'll be work for us.
I feel like I've caught up with the world, Johnny, now.
Yes, and I've caught up with the marketing sphere. So thanks for your tips today, Silly. Always insightful.
Thanks, Johnny. What do you got coming up?
I'm going to buy some more stuff. I've got the bug now. Just
Uh,
want to keep buying new gear.
well, actually, I bought something new as well.
What did you get?
I bought a gimbal, a DJI
Oh,
Ronin
nice one.
S.
You're taking it. Oh, you're going to Singapore this week.
I'm going to the Philippines and Thailand this
Yes,
week.
that's right.
I'm not taking it. I'm just shooting some interviews over there.
Okay,
I'll report on my Philippine, Thailand experience next episode.
So a quick rundown of your kit. What are you taking with you?
Sony a7S II, a couple of them. Travel tripods.
Yes.
It's because it's all just basically interviews sitting behind a desk kind of thing.
Lights?
No.
No lights. So you just go natural lighting.
Carry them.
Okay.
Got to
perfect.
use ambient
Wow,
lights.
nice.
That's where the Sony's come
Yeah.
work well. I try to make the best of the situation if there's natural light coming in. But just social media content, shooting some interviews. So in the next week, I will shoot 12 interviews over 4 days.
So as an interview type of scene, are you going to be asking questions? I'll be answering. So you're both on camera?
Yep.
Yep. Okay. So you just go from A camera to B. Do you have a third camera for a wider shot?
No,
Just
I'd
go
like
two?
to.
Yeah, like to
but
so that's
just-
adding one more
it's
thing.
very much run and gun, John.
Yeah,
I've
okay.
got an hour to shoot a video.
Right.
And
Okay.
in Philippines, we're actually traveling through the city to different sites, so that we're going to take a lot of time traveling.
On location interviews. Nice.
Yeah,
one.
and so we're
Yeah.
moving a lot, and so I'll
Beautiful.
be setting up. So I've got to be really, really quick.
Yes.
And it's just for little LinkedIn pieces and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We're not going to win an Oscar.
Yeah.
Good audio, so I use some decent audio equipment. Use the Sony's, nice and compact, good to travel with. Put it all in a backpack. I'll have a tripod on each arm, backpack on, and I'll be running around in the heat.
I just picked up some Rode Wireless Go's. They're amazing.
You have to tell us
Really
about next
compact.
time.
So I'll test them out this
I'm
week.
tempted
And
to get some.
in the next episode, I'll give you a rundown. But so far, I had a quick test of them. Amazing. Love the fact they're so compact. And what's great about them as well is if by chance you don't have the lapel mic handy,
Yeah, you can
there's
use
actually
it.
a microphone in the receiver and the transceiver.
Yeah,
So
no, I
it's
really like that.
incredible.